What's the worst part about aging? Parents getting old and passing away. Miss you, Mom. Feeling like you are running out of time to do things because the check engine light in my body never goes off now. Realizing how much you missed and what you could have done if you took a different path. For me, I always reflect on how I could have been bolder and had a better time if I was just more confident. Everything hurts. For me, generally, regret builds up. The could've, would've, should've syndrome is strong in me. That nobody can see you are exactly the same person you always were. Just stuck inside a body that no longer matches. That there are more last times than first times. Feeling your body fall apart. I'm technically more fit in my 30s than in my 20s. But if I hurt myself, it takes 10x longer to heal. Hurt my knee. No running for 2 months in my 20s, it would be fine after 3 shots of vodka and sleeping it off. Cut myself at 25. No evidence in a week. At 35. Takes 2 weeks to heal and leaves a scar. Also, I basically don't drink anymore now that I get hangovers. Which I guess is a good thing but still sucks. You have fewer and fewer alternative life paths available. And you start to regret the paths that you did take. Seeing everybody else moving forward in life. Being actually good in living life. While you're stuck with no solution nor any way to fix yourself, watching how every day slips away from you. And not being able to quit because some people would be fucking sad. Life is a cruel joke. You have heard all the songs and stories. Everything they come up with now feels like a bad copy. Also, the amount of things you are doing for the last time, or are never going to do at all, grows and grows. People you love die. People you love stop loving you back. You stop loving people even though they deserve your love. Getting ugly, in my case, getting uglier. Joint pain in the knees. Regret. Reflecting on all the opportunities you missed. Experiences you never had. Decision that impacted your life in a negative way. Seeing old pics and videos of yourself and realizing how gradual the change was, that you never noticed how much you've aged. I think my 30s are my best decade yet. But also time goes way faster as you get older. I'm turning 35 this year. I was 25 like 2 weeks ago. What the fuck happened? The invisibility. Pain. Saying goodbye to people. Or never getting the chance to. Loneliness. The world can easily just forget you. Becoming irrelevant. I work on the same campus I attended 40 years ago. And I feel the looks saying, "You don't belong here anymore." Calculating what your current age is, the halfway point of in your life. For example, if you're 60 and expect to live to 80, you're at the halfway point between 40 and death. You can start this in your late 30s based on life expectancy and unlock a strange combo. A new way to fear death and a new way to start doing stuff, on the harsh realization that you're somewhere on the back nine of life. Your body betrays you. Seeing my parents age has been so tough on me. Dad was diagnosed with Calais this year, but after 4 chemo treatments, he's back driving truck at 74. Mom was just diagnosed with Parkinson's. She's had bad shakes for several years and now finally went in. They recommended that my dad retire to take care of my mom. The problem is, they're so used to being apart days at a time and finding it tough to live together. It's sad but so common, I'd imagine. I once sneezed and cracked a rib. My metabolism is so slow and it's getting harder to lose weight. Everything they don't tell you about menopause or perimenopause. Women have so much that starts to go haywire as our reproductive systems start cycling down. And there isn't much information or support from doctors to help you figure it out. For me, it's looking back on what I could have done with my time. Remembering what was and what wasn't. Discovering that the sports injury you ignored when you were 16 never actually disappeared. It was just waiting to show up when you least expected it. 20 years later. My parents are in their very late 80s. The hardest part for them is not the aches or pains. It's not the quadruple bypass my dad had. It's not failing hearing, eyesight, memory. The hardest part of aging is the loneliness. All their friends have passed away. All their brothers and sisters have gone before them. They still have us, their children. But it's not the same. Everyone they knew are now gone. This is by far the hardest part of aging. Watching my parents get old. I cannot fathom how I'm going to handle losing them. You feel the same as you did when you were young, and it doesn't seem all that long ago, but then you look in the mirror and look like a completely different person. It's so fucking lonely. Realizing that midlife is actually 40 and not 50. And that I'm closer to death than birth at this point, assuming natural cases, of course. I'm having a hard time dealing with the mortality issue. I don't want to not be here for my kids. I don't want to be the reason they hurt so much when I go. And yet, there's not a damn thing I can do to stop it. Not having any kind of control is the big shit of it. Our limited lifespan isn't enough. Getting further away from your childhood and getting more and more entrenched into the burden of responsibility and societal expectations. Being invisible. Too worried about it. Is what it. All I can do is eat good. Try not to drink too much booze. Drink tons of water. Exercise as much as possible and enjoy life. I'm in my early 50s and stronger than I was when I was 20. In great physical and mental shape. Happier than I've ever been. Looking forward to the future, but living a healthy lifestyle as best I can to make sure I won't need someone wiping my ass for me when I get really old. If that happens, my wife has orders to push me off a cliff. Constantly losing friends. You hit a certain point where you realize your career isn't going to advance anymore. Because if you haven't made the leadership ranks by a certain point, everyone assumes it's because there's something wrong with you. People stop saying it will happen someday because now it is someday. And if you work in a youth-dominated field, you're just absolutely fucked. Time flying by. Next to losing people, slowly losing your appetite for new things and being bored with the old. Everything. As a woman in my late 50s, I have had a hard time dealing with getting old. Everything hurts and you get fat. Regret of not listening sooner to your inner voice. Seeing younger people do parkour shit you used to do. Women that used to find you sexy and attractive now think you're an old creeper. A 20-year-old mind with desires to do stuff and a 71-year-old body that won't let you. What's worse is finding the one spending the last 21 years together and realizing it probably won't last another 20. Loneliness. Society kinda stops acknowledging that you exist. Remembering what you could still do when you were younger, but didn't. Knowing the clock is winding down as the number goes up. The memory of looking pictures to prove it.